Hey everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In this video, I'm going to cover the next upcoming Lost Chapters hitting Global Opera Omnia soon, featuring the return of everyone's favorite dog-loving sorceress RINOA. The synergy alongside RINOA for this Lost Chapters is all Final Fantasy VIII themed with Squall and Irvine. The topics in this video will be RINOA's level 70 awakening, Irvine's level 70 awakening and rework, the banner featuring RINOA and Irvine's EX weapons and their realizations, should you pull on the banner, and the Chaos difficulty boss fight featuring the return of the Swarm Fly. Friendly reminder that every skill, passive buff, and debuff that I present in these videos is assuming that you have every weapon passive available on the character, as I want to show them at their maximum potential. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into RINOA's Lost Chapters for Global Opera Omnia. RINOA was arguably one of the most impactful characters to be initially released in Opera Omnia. With her insane magic damage coming from her glass cannon style of play, RINOA melted down a lot of difficult boss fights up until the mid parts of the Cosmos era. Her Lost Chapters does not bring forth a rework as she was already quite powerful, but she does get a minor upgrade with a level 70 awakening, which unlocks her C65 ability called Base Attack, which increases her initial Brave by 20% and attack by 15% for 4 turns, and also unlocks her C68 passive, which permanently increases her HP and max Brave by 20%. As stated earlier, her initial kit was already quite strong, so this time they decided to not give her a rework with this Lost Chapters. Despite that, RINOA is still quite powerful with the amount of damage she delivers with her magic attacks. Irvine gets a much needed upgrade with his level 70 awakening and rework with this Lost Chapters. Originally known for being a range imperil debuffer, Irvine's level 70 awakening unlocks his C65 ability called Debuff Turn Long Shot, which inflicts a 2-hit non-elemental range, single target Brave plus single target HP attack, and increases whatever debuff he inflicts on that target by 2 turns, and also increases his attack by 10%. His C68 passive permanently increases the party's attack and max Brave by 10%. On to his rework. Irvine's C54 passive now increases the party's attack and max Brave by 30% while he is buffed, rather than just applying those effects to himself. His Canister Shot gets 4 additional skill uses, increase Brave hits to 6, increase Brave damage potency to 330%, added 120% Brave overflow, removes the conditional HP attack, increases the potency of the speed down debuff to minus 30% and its duration to 6 turns, and now grants Irvine a 60% max Brave up for 6 turns. His Scattershot Extend gets 1 additional skill use, increase Brave hits to 5, increase Brave damage potency to 250%, added 150% Brave overflow, increased duration of the ranged imperil to 4 turns, increased duration to the physical attack up buff to 8 turns, and this time grants him a Brave regen based on 60% of initial Brave for 8 turns. Lastly, his Brave Attack Plus gets a minor upgrade, increasing its Brave hits to 2 and Brave damage potency to 160%. All in all, this was a much needed upgrade as Irvine struggled to deal any real damage even with his range imperil debuff prior to these upgrades. He can definitely be a good option for a team that focuses on range type Brave damage. RINOA's Lost Chapters features a summoning banner with the return of all of RINOA's gear including her EX, the return of both Squall and Irvine's 15 and 35 CP weapons, and the debut of Irvine's EX weapon. Both RINOA and Irvine's EX weapons can be realized. Let's go ahead and start things off with RINOA's EX realization. Upon its realization, RINOA's EX weapon gains the following. 0 out of 3 increases the Brave damage potency of her EX ability to a whopping 1,260% and can now Brave overflow up to 150%. It also grants her a unique buff called Surging Power for 8 turns, while Angelo Recover is active, which increases her initial Brave by 40% and grants her a Brave regen based on 100% of her initial Brave. At 1 out of 3, RINOA gets a permanent increase to her max Brave by 30% and to her attack by 80%. 2 out of 3 allows her to start the quest with a 60% attack up buff and a 60% max Brave up buff for 8 turns. Finally, 3 out of 3 increases her EX ability's Brave damage potency to a staggering 1,530%, increases the Brave overflow to 180%, and now also heals her own Brave by 30% of the HP damage she deals after the first and second HP attacks of her EX ability. The A-type sphere unlocked from this EX weapon is called Low HP Attack Boost Up, which raises the equipped character's max Brave and attack by 10%, while their HP is less than 80% of max HP. Let's move on to Irvine's EX weapon. Since it is new to Global, we're going to take a look at what it does prior to its realization first. Irvine's EX weapon equips him with the EX ability called Armor Shot, which deals a 3-hit, non-elemental range, single-target Brave plus single-target HP attack executed 3 times with a 450% Brave damage potency. It deals 20% HP splash damage to other targets, heals the party's HP by 50% of HP damage dealt up to 20% of max HP, with the excess heals converting to Brave, inflicts the range imperil debuff on all enemies for 3 turns, and grants Irvine a new unique buff called Snipe for 6 turns, which increases his own max Brave by 30% and increases the party's attack by 20%, and also increases the party's Brave overflow by 20% when using range Brave attacks. Having this EX weapon equipped also changes Irvine's HP attack to its plus variant, which is a 1-hit, non-elemental range, single-target Brave plus single-target HP attack with a 120% Brave damage potency and a 120% Brave overflow. After realizing Irvine's EX weapon, it gains the following effects. 0 out of 3 increases his EX ability's Brave damage potency to 630%, allows it to Brave overflow by 120%, and extends the duration of the range imperil debuff to 4 turns. 1 out of 3 permanently increases his max Brave by 30% and his attack by 60%. 2 out of 3 allows him to begin the quest with his unique buff Snipe for 6 turns and also increases the EX ability's recast speed by 10%. Finally, 3 out of 3 upgrades the EX ability further, this time dealing a 4-hit, non-elemental range, single-target Brave plus single-target HP attack executed 3 times with a 840% Brave damage potency and a 150% Brave overflow. It also changes his HP attack plus to HP attack plus plus, which has the same Brave hits as its previous version, but this time has a 150% Brave damage potency and heals the party's HP by 20% of HP damage dealt up to 10% of max HP. The E-type sphere unlocked from this EX weapon is called Debuff Success Range Attack Longer, which allows the equipped character to raise their own range attack by 15% for 6 turns when inflicting a debuff on the target. Keep in mind, this effect does not stack with the same sphere. Upon seeing what both these EX weapons can do with their realizations, are they worth your hard-earned gems and tickets? To be quite frank, RINOA does not nearly make as big of an impact with her return on her lost chapters compared to when she first came out. While she is still a powerful magic DPS unit, Global has already received some even better ones such as Ultimecia and Emperor, who can do so much more with their kits. If you really want to realize her EX weapon, it is definitely needed at 3 out of 3, as the Brave heals after the first and second hits helps her push her damage further and allows her to hit those overflow limits. As for Irvine, his EX realization is interesting, allowing him to inflict his signature range imperil debuff and an interesting addition of healing your party's HP. That being said, Irvine is still a bit of a niche character who, while can be chaos viable for certain fights, is not necessarily needed unless you're desperately lacking in range damage dealers. Even if you are lacking in range DPS, I would personally much rather pull on the recently released second Global First banner featuring the very much OP Aranea and the early release of Noctis's EX, who I personally feel are a far better value for your gems and tickets. Overall, this banner is honestly a pass considering what Global just got, unless one or both of these characters are your favorites. Now, I will say later on, RINOA does get a rework and her EX weapon will be more fruitful to pull on when it comes back alongside the introduction of her LD weapon, which drastically improves her performance. The Chaos boss fight for this Lost Chapters features the return of the Swarmfly boss alongside its 2 miniature versions of itself it summons. They have no weaknesses or resistances brave and elemental damage-wise, but are immune to 4 debuffs which are attack down, magic attack down, defense down, and paralysis. They primarily use wind attack magics and can also inflict debuffs such as poison, turn rate down, attack down, and speed down. As you deplete its HP, it will grow into its angry and angrier states, which increases its stats further. It also summons its 2 minions with Rallying Cry after they have been initially defeated and raises their stats when brought back. Lastly, it possesses abilities that have a high turn rate when breaking or attacking a broken target. Because this is a multi-boss fight, characters with AoE HP damage, HP splash damage, and split HP damage can do fairly well. The Synergy Party can do very well as all 3 of them have access to multi-hitting HP abilities and also their realized EX Plus weapons. Our newest Global First Aranea can do very well in this Chaos fight with her High Wind ability, EX ability, and High Boost Lance Plus ability. Keep in mind the turn requirement for this fight is 75 turns, and you're only allowed to sustain up to 5,000 HP damage. Hopefully this video helps you guys prepare for the upcoming Rinoa Lost Chapters in Global Opera Omnia. Thank you so much again for watching. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Mahal, everyone.